on the show, we tend to talk about Paul LePage more than we really should. You know?
is at all
Yeah.
more than anybody should.
I mean, we're way the fuck over here in Utah. I mean, we've got our own problems to worry about, and they're many and like varied.
Can I take it just a brief moment to celebrate Sandy City in Utah?
Oh,
What did they do?
yes, good for them.
Okay,
Yes.
so there was a city councilman who was up for re-election, Steve Smith, and he came out on this tirade about black people.
So like kind of the same thing here going on. So
yeah, so perfect. It ties in. So he didn't say these words exactly, but that was what he was saying. He mentioned black abortion rates for some reason, their divorce rates. So that's implying promiscuity, right? Like black people are too promiscuous.
Yeah.
you guys hear that dog whistle?
Yeah, he was dog whistling.
Dog whistle, there it is. How about their work ethic is bad?
Oh,
Black people are lazy. That's what that means.
Wow.
And he had all these things about what black people are doing that are hurting the black community. And so I contacted him and went,
From a white guy, right?
yes, he's very, very white. Steve Smith, very white. And
I like him on American Dad.
He makes us look ethnic.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, how exotic.
So I've seen several conversations with him with other people where they've been like, dude, that was racist as fuck. And he doubled the fuck down on this shit. He went on the news and said, do they know the abortion rates of black people? Because I do. And I'm like, oh, is that proof of some shit? So I contacted him and said, resign, motherfucker. Like, I didn't say those words, but I did demand his resignation in my first message.
Mm-hmm.
And so he went, I thought you came to me in a good faith conversation. I said, why in the fuck would you think that?
Like, we're not here to talk. I'm here for your resignation.
I demanded your resignation. Why would you think this is a good faith conversation?
This is not a conversation, motherfucker.
He told me, I'm not even kidding you. Google quote, what is it? Quote, affirmative action is bad for blacks. He put that in quotes. He told me to Google. Yes.
So did it bring up a Breitbart article, or did it bring up a Daily Stormer article? Did it bring up a
InfoWars?
Oh yeah, Prison
That's
Planet.
Specifically, I'm like, you tell me to Google a racist phrase, I'm gonna get racist results.
Yeah.
So he's a piece of shit, and he's a racist piece of shit. When people in good faith, not me, tried to explain to him that he was being a racist piece of shit, he doubled down.
Oh, that word has no meaning anymore, Felicia, because you use it just so much. It's
just too much. If everybody's racist,
maybe people are pretty fucking racist.
People are pretty fucking racist. And when they're called out on their racism, even for people trying to reach out in good nature,
don't double down.
Are racist, and they throw in some more racism right in there, like, quote, affirmative action is bad for blacks.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you approach somebody and say, hey, you said something kind of racist, so they're like, I'm not fucking racist. No.
Steve Smith has been on the Sandy City City Council for a while. I think he's like, this was his second term, and he was just defeated in his re-election campaign. Oh, and the mayor, who has been making some terrible decisions and is also awful, was also defeated in the election. They got voted the fuck out by some very progressive voices. I'm not even shitting you. Guys,
there are a few of them in the state.
Yeah. I'm so proud of my city right now because I went and voted, and apparently I was not the only one who got the fuck out and said, these people are done. Proud.
I'm so happy for Sandy City. I'm less happy for Maine because they're stuck with this guy, Paul LePage. And this is from a couple.
How are they stuck with this guy?
This is a couple weeks ago. You think Maine? You're like, oh, New England. It can't be that bad. No.
Maine is a
Maine has a ton of conservative.
Not to like shit on people who live in Maine, but why?
So
because there's a bunch of wealthy people there, so they all like congregate.
So
Also,
Paul
here it's
LePage made some comments while there's been people that have been urging him to resign because he's been saying some terrible shit, and he said that he's been talking about how they've been trying to fight their drug crime in the state of Maine. Paul LePage said that the enemy right now, and this comes from the BBC, so it's a vetted source, people. Don't be bitches about this. The enemy right now are people of color and people of Hispanic origin in the war on drugs.
Okay, so when he says people of color, he means black people.
Yeah.
Because people of color means everyone who's not white.
Yeah.
Everyone who understands the vocabulary.
Right. Everybody who understands the vocabulary, people of color are people other than white people who have no color.
When you go to war, he says, and the enemy dresses in red, and you dress in blue, then you shoot it red, he said. War's not fought like Minutemen anymore, guys. We're not lining up to be musket shot, you know? It's asymmetrical these days.
We're not at war with not white people.
No.
Those are Americans.
Yeah.
And so he had some more...
Oh, shit.
He made some comments like back in January. So this has been constant coming from Mr. LePage.
Oh, yeah. No, it's constant. Yeah. If you go back further, you'll find more. Oh,
that's right.
Shit.
LePage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has a long history.
He blames the state's heroin problem, and this is back in January, like I said, on guys by the name of like D-Money, Smoothie, Shifty. This sounds like his personal dealers to me that he got shorted by. And they come up from...
I'm sorry, sir, but that's pronounced Swifty.
Swifty. Shit on the floor. They come up here and they sell their heroin from Connecticut or New York, and then they go back home. Incidentally, half the time, they impregnate a young white girl before they leave.
Oh my God!
Well, yeah, but that's really only because the young white girl is really, really desperate for something.
If we gave her access to birth control, she wouldn't get impregnated.
That would be good. Yeah.
Maybe she's into Swifty. Maybe he gets some good dick.
So instead of look, backing away from this shit, he continued to double down on it. And this is from back in January, and you might have heard this from other news items where he said that he had been putting together a binder, not full of women, that's Romney, cataloging where he was cataloging drug arrests in the state, and that 90+% of those pictures in my book, he says, and it's a 3-ring binder, are black and Hispanic people. Do you think maybe because that's who you're targeting, you know?
Maybe.
But also, how do you know? Like, because those are generally black and white pictures, and
well, you know, it has the name like race. Hernandez.
No, I mean, I know if we put me in a black and white photo, you guys can all look at me and go, "She's a white." Like, yeah, I know.
A white.
But there are a lot of people who fall within a spectrum. And how do you define Hispanic? Because Hispanic has nothing to do with race. That's not a race.
And so this is flash forward into like now. He had denied that anything that he said was racist, but he said that since January he had been putting together this binder full of women. No, not that. Sorry. And I can't let that go because that was my favorite fucking picture. Was
favorite quote ever. Binders full of women is one of my favorite things ever said by a politician ever.
One of my favorite election memes of all time was the thing that was like "Our Money," where it was like a Cash Money Millionaires album cover, like like shittily put together, like with like shrimp and shit on the front of it, Whereas like we have so much money we don't know what to do with it, kind of stuff. It's like it said "Our Money." Binders full of women was fucking hilarious.
Can't even get over it. I'll never get over it, Romney. Binders full of women. It's amazing. I can't believe you said it.
Remember when that was our biggest...
Oh, I wasn't even offended. I thought it was hilarious.
No, it was.
So when the reporters were asked by him to provide the binder, because, if you're working on something, you should be able to at least bring it up, even if it's a prop. Even Trump knows that you could bring out the prop every once in a while with the manila envelope full of shit that he was turning over kind of stuff.
Yeah, literally sending his press secretary out with blank pages.
Yeah. Let me tell you something, he says here. Black people come up the highway and they kill Mainers. That's what you call yourself, Mainers? All right. You ought to look into that, he said. And then he stormed off the stage telling the reporters, you make me so sick.
You and your questions.
How dare you?
How dare you do your job? And so they continued on with questions like the next day because they're like, no, we really need to hear why you're saying this kind of things. And the teachers and Paul LePage said to people that he invited reporters from the Press Herald and the local TV channel to an interview to explain the voice message because he left a expletive laden voice message to the Democratic state representative that had called him a racist.
Yeah,
but this voice, that voice message is beautiful.
And in the message, he wished that he could shoot Mr. Gatine in a duel, which was the greatest fucking thing politically in like 2017. He said, "I'd like to come up him. I'd like him to come up here because tell you right now, I wish it were 1825 and we would have a duel. That's how angry I am, and I would not put my gun in the air. I guarantee you."
Wait, hey, did he really say 1825?
Yeah, 1825.
I wish we could settle disputes by murder. Wow.
I would point it right between his eyes because he's a snot-nosed little runt.
I'm sorry, but pistol dueling was illegal in 1825.
Dumbass.
Dueling was illegal in the 1770s.
Oh, because it's a terrible idea.
Because it's a terrible idea. That's why Hamilton and Burr had to go, because it wasn't a national law; it was state law. But that's why they had to go to New Jersey, because it wasn't illegal in New Jersey.
That's amazing.
Right?
Is it illegal in New Jersey now?
Yes.
I would hope so.
Are you sure?
Well, not really, but it's really fallen out of fashion.
It certainly has.
It's not.
Because it's a stupid way to resolve disputes. It's fucking stupid.
Maybe we should just start challenging people to duels when they disagree with us.
Nope.
Utah. We live in Utah.
I am not an amosexual. Nope.
They were up on that.
He continued to go on and on and on about this kind of thing. And so the executive director for the ACLU up there filed a FOI, the Freedom of Information request for records related to the arrest of Black and Hispanic people in the state. And they said that the Maine police were 9 times more likely to arrest people of color for selling drugs than white people, even though white people were just as likely to commit the drug offenses.
Actually, there are studies on this, and white people are more likely to have contraband on them.
So the FBI statistics that they had for this one, which shows that 1,200 people were arrested on charges of drug sales or manufacturing in the state of Maine in 2014. Of those, only 14% were Black. And almost all of the rest.
That's about standard with the population.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we would expect that.
But 9 times out of 10, they're the ones that are arrested instead of the white people.
The takeaway is, Black listeners,
stay the fuck out of Maine.
give your stash to the white guy to hold.
Oh yeah, no shit. They're less likely to be searched.
That is what you do.
Don't take legal advice from a podcast.
Well, and we also live in a state where they just open
Although I guess technically that's illegal advice, so we're okay. Technicality, loophole.